Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really glad that I have this opportunity to speak to such wonderful audience who are already very qualified and from so much educated background. And I believe I have a lot of audience which are very mature. So the topic for today I've selected is emotional health and happiness. Uh, Wait, I'll just show my presentation.
Sir, can you speak loudly little bit because we are here. The sound is very low.
How about now? It is good.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Udayji?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir. We can clearly hear you.
Yeah,
Sir.
I think maybe somebody has issue in their end.
Yeah, might be internet problem or something.
Yeah. So the topic is emotional health and happiness. That's what I feel it's very important because many times we have many priorities in life, like related to our career, related to our studies, family, society, finances. But in the amidst this, many times we forget that our main responsibility is actually also to take care of our own emotions and mind. Because if we take care of our emotions and mind, then our efficiency will also increase in life. So basically what happens is there is IQ, EQ, PQ, and SQ. There are 4 aspects of the personality. So there is PQ, first of all, physical quotient. Person has to be physically healthy.
Sir,
And for
excuse
that,
me.
yes,
Are you sharing your screen?
not yet.
Not yet. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I will share in between and I'll take it down.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So there are 4 aspects. So PQ is physical quotient. Like first of all, person has to be healthy physically. And then person has to be healthy emotionally also. And they both goes together, body and mind function together. But most of the time in the educated field, people who are to studies and teaching, there are a lot of emphasis given on IQ, intelligent quotient. But that is only very small one aspect of life. And even much more important is like SQ, spiritual quotient. So the idea is that if we can connect our body and mind in a way that mind becomes more and more stable and body become more and more grounded actually. So grounded means wherever we are, whichever situation we are, we can think loud, and also we can uh, connect with ourselves. Connecting with ourselves is the first step when it comes to overall health, overall growth point of view. Many of us are having difficulty even to find out what is the real passion of my life. So what I'm trying to say, the first step is if we want to be growing day by day, is to connect what we are made up of. We all made up of certain positive things and certain things which we have acquired from here and there. We call it thought patterns, belief system, mindset, paradigms. So this we all have developed. We have all gathered from here and there. But there is something which is called core nature. The core nature is which cannot be changed. Like some people are very much inclined to work in a way, inclined to do things in a certain way, and they are called emotional needs. They are called, and if we can understand our emotional needs, then we can be happy in life. And if we don't understand our emotional needs and if we don't fulfill those needs, no matter how much money, how much big position, how much power we have, it will be really difficult to have the sense of fulfillment in life. So before getting into this topic of emotional health, first we need to understand the nature of the mind, because mind is the thing which many people have difficulty to deal with. In fact, most of the people have difficulty to deal with because the nature of mind is very flickering. Mm. It's like a monkey. Like monkey keep jumping from one direction to another direction, one branch to another branch. Similarly, our mind also keep jumping from one direction to another direction, from one thought to another thought, one desire to another desire. And that's make some kind of instability in life. Restlessness comes. So this is the thing we need to first understand what is the nature of my mind. Mind is also like a child. Child is a very obstinate, child, whenever they decide something, they want to have that at any cost. So that's another quality of the mind, it's very chanchal, flickering, it's very obstinate, it doesn't listen so easily, and it's flickering, it's accepting and rejecting, sankalpa and vikalpa. At this moment, mind is liking particular thing, and after few moments or after few minutes or after few hours, mind will be saying, no, I don't like this now, I like something else. Then another issue with the mind is very strong. Now this can be a very good quality also. If something is very strong, then we can use it in the right direction. Very strong means, that's why the people, those who have directed their mind in the right direction, they can achieve anything. So this is that's why we say mind is a neutral guy. Mind can be your best friend or mind can be your worst enemy. It just depends on you, how you train your mind. Then mind is very obstinate, as I already described, in relation to the child. Obstinate means once something gets stuck to the mind, it's like, guru. In those days, there used to be like this CD, gramophone used to be there, disc player used to be there, very old, like a few decades before. And when you're playing the music or a song, then the needle would get stuck to one of the groove, and when the needle is stuck there, the same line is repeated again and again and again and again. So this is what happens with our mind if we are not training our mind to shift in different direction when we want to shift it. So it's obstinate. The same record it keeps playing, same demand, same desire, same thing again and again and again. If mind get into the worry loop, we call it worry loop, we just keep having the same worry and anxiety again and again. Another quality of the mind is it has the ability to absorb. Like a sponge can absorb whichever thing it comes in contact with. If red color water, it will absorb the red color. If there is blue color water, it will absorb the blue color. Similarly, the mind has the ability to absorb whatever comes in contact with. And that is the reason, if we want emotional health, we need to be very careful about our mind, exposure of the mind. Sometimes people are exposing their mind or their personality or say their emotions to many negative issues. If we are constantly hearing the negative news through the TV channels, through social media, or by talking to people who are always very negative, then mind keeps on absorbing those negative stuff. And that really affects our personality. Then what else? Mind is like a bird which has two wings, Bird has two wings, but this mind has very special two wings. Which are these two wings? These two wings are either worrying about future or lamenting about the past. My dear friends, it's very difficult to have a mind. It requires a lot of endeavor and awareness to live in the present. There is a book called Power of Now. If you read it, the whole book talks about that how this present moment, this present reality is the real reality. And we need to plan. I'm not saying you don't worry about the future, but instead of worrying, why not take out some time and plan for it? Instead of keep thinking the whole day, keep worrying about it. 90%, more than 90% of the things which mind keep worrying, they never happens. And or lamenting about the past. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me. And that's how, what happens. The mind is constantly conversing with itself. Mind constantly replaying the past events and rearranging them into a better and better drama, and creating our life very miserable. And that's how our emotional health get disturbed. So we need to plan for the future, but the planning can be done like once in a day for a few minutes, or maybe 1 or 2 hours in a week, or maybe 1 or 2 days in a month, or 1 week in a year, something like that. You can really take out the time for planning, but not like constantly worrying about every small thing. So we need to discuss the pros and cons of this and that, not that all the time. Doing the same kind of worries and anxiety, and I call it like three cancers of mind. This is another big issue with the mind. What is this? Complaining. This is first. Now, complaining, I'm not saying never complain, but some people have a habit of complaining about everything. They just keep complaining about people around them. They keep complaining the weather of the day, or some political decision, or some issue. Everything. This is called cribbing mentality. Keep on cribbing. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me, this person did that, this person did that. And they can never relish the wonderful things around them. They cannot relish people around them. They cannot appreciate things around them. So whenever this mode of complaining is coming into our mind, we have to, the antidote for it, then we need to learn to appreciate. We learn to be grateful what is there. The another issue is comparing. Now there is a difference between comparing and taking inspiration. Many times people compare themselves with others. And by comparing with others, you know what happens? They start feeling low about themselves. They start feeling low. What is the point feeling low about yourself? Instead of that, if some qualified person is coming in contact with us, we can take inspiration. We can take motivation. We can learn something from that person. But the person whose mind is diseased or goes to the extreme of cancerous mind, that this problem has increased so much that constantly in the mood of comparing, and life become very miserable. And the third cancer, which I call it criticizing. What is criticizing? Criticizing is gossiping, bitching, talking bad about somebody behind his back. What pleasure people get out of criticizing? It is a very important thing to think about it. What pleasure people get? They feel by putting ourselves low or down, they can feel themselves better. But that doesn't work in life. Just by putting somebody down, you don't become high. But this is how mind functions. The diseased mind get into this loop of complaining, comparing, and criticizing. So we need to be careful about it. And we have to start observing. So one of the first steps about emotional health is observation, increasing your awareness about your mind, about your body, about the situations which are happening, and how you respond to those situations. So having said so, this seminar which I do, or workshop, whatever you call it, it's a little interactive kind of seminar. It's not just one-sided talk, because that may not help so much. I can keep talking. So what I do generally, I request audience in between, like after 15 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour, that if somebody has anything to say, somebody want to speak it out. So you can do chat also, already somebody is writing, but you can also put yourself unmute and come on the video. But let me see here. So you said a book about being in the present. Yeah, the book name is The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. That is the name of the book. Anybody else? Anything till now? Anything which you feel related to the three cancers of the mind which I spoke? Comparing, complaining, and criticizing. Do you feel like, is there something like that happened in your life, or you observe somebody getting into that loop, and how poisonous it can be if you're not careful to deal with it? If you want, you can come on the video and also interact a little bit. Okay, nobody. So let's go to the next point. Yeah. So now what we need to understand is actually we have to learn to grow from the useless mental battles. What are these useless mental battles? Useless mental battles are the internal dialogues and ramblings which goes on in our mind. If you have carefully observed into your mind, there are certain kind of talks, we can call them negative auto talk, or we call them the useless worries and anxieties. They keep on going on and on and on and on. So now how to do it? Methodically slowing down its continuous rambling. How do we? We'll discuss about it, but maybe a few tips I will share right now with you. We do it by first observing that which kind of talks are constantly going on, which are taking so much of my energy. Because when mind is talking constantly within itself, it's actually exhausting. When person is anxious and a worry loop, it's exhausting. So we have to learn some techniques, some skills to cut it down, the thought process. And how we cut it down? By learning to shift your thoughts to another kind of thoughts. By learning to take a break and just focus on your breath. By learning to take a break and maybe hear some music. Maybe learning to take a break and do some breathing exercises. Or maybe do some meditation. Or maybe just talk to somebody else, and shift this worry loop. Otherwise, this constant anxiety which goes on, it just eats up totally. And then focus on positive and uplifting objects. So the secret is that we have to focus on positive and uplifting objects. What is the positive and uplifting objects? Positive and uplifting objects are just now, which I shared some of them, some mantra, some music, some kind of positive thought. These are the things which we need to do. So somebody is asking a question. During this talk, can you also put some light on how to help kids to be healthy and mindful? Yeah, we can do that, but it's beyond the scope of my presentation, because when it comes to children, it's totally different thing. But I can share a few things now only, because it's very useful to everybody. When it comes to kids need a lot of, especially this age of 4 to 6. When we talk about kids' health, emotional health, it changes which age group it is. Lalet Palyanti. Chanakya Pandit said, up to the age of 6 or 7, the child has to give a lot of love and affection. Lot means lots and lots and lots of love and affection. And that helps the child to become emotionally very strong. There is a study that the children who don't get a lot of emotional love and affection in their childhood, they become weak emotionally, or they become abuser, or they don't feel like giving love or receiving love feature. So one of the most important advice you can say, or the information which I would like to share about this age group of children, they need a lot of time and affection. Generally what happens when parents get busy because of the today's lifestyle, living in the cities, and both the mother and father are working, so sometimes child may feel neglected. First of all, if you're planning a baby, if you have a baby, and if you're growing the baby, then one of the parent has to really take out some time, more time, and another one can take out a little less time. But it's all about how much time we are spending with the child and how much we are sharing our happiness and different kind of pleasure we giving to the child of sense. Because children are very sensitive, they're very skin sensitive also. They need a lot of cuddling, they need a lot of touch. So different kind of touch is needed. Also another thing which helps the child to grow to different personalities. Like if child has grandmother, a child has aunt, child has different kind of uncles and siblings. So those different touch of different age group also helps the child to grow emotionally. So these are the few things which comes immediately to my mind. But coming back to our original topic, if I get some more things, I'll share with you during this presentation. But coming back to our original topic, which I have planned for the teachers and professors and students of intellectual background, is that if we are to deal with our mind, then we also learn to understand the structure of our body and mind, that where is the mind situated and how it is connected to our body and how it is connected to our senses. So this is a very famous picture, and many of you may be knowing about it. This is a picture of a chariot where 5 horses are there, and these 5 horses are pulling this chariot, and the horses are very powerful, and the driver is very weak, skinny, and the passenger is suffering because the driver is not able to control the horses. And this chariot is compared to the body, and this driver is compared to the mind, and this passenger who is sitting on this chariot is compared to the soul. And these 5 horses, which are very powerful, they are compared to the 5 senses which we have: eyes, nose, tongue, skin, ears. So these senses are very powerful right now in our personality. And when we expose these senses to very tempting sense objects, like somebody is living in the midst of the city, surrounded by so many objects. And nowadays you don't have to live in the city also because of the social media. Everybody has access to all kind of things. And when you feed the senses with all this information and data, then you know what happens? Then all these impressions, they goes into the mind and they keep on storing there. They keep on accumulating. And these experiences in yoga language is called vrittis. Vrittis are impressions. It's like somebody has a camera and that person is clicking different photographs through this camera. And by clicking, click, so many photos are getting stored into the card, memory card of the camera. Similarly, our mind has a memory card, and all the impressions which we are getting exposed to, not only through eyes, but also through our nose, through our tongue, through our skin, through our ears, all this information, that is why it is called information gathering senses, knowledge acquiring senses. So all this information is going in, going in, going in. And this is what becomes the basis of having so many desires. When we talk about emotional health, we need to also keep the track of what kind of desires we are accumulating and what kind of desires we are nurturing. Coming to the point about children now, if we are not training the children to entertain the right kind of desires, then the children will have tough time when they will grow up. Because we need to train them that what kind of desires we need to entertain. And that's where comes the question of value system. And that's why value education is so important for the children. That how much emphasis we need to give just to have money, and also along with money, how much emphasis we need to give to have our own inner peace. And that comes only by following some value system, having the qualities of respect and appreciation and gratitude and humility. So what I'm saying is we need to keep the track that what kind of data we are feeding into the mind. And if data is fed wrong, then mind is like a software which runs the hardware, which is called brain. And if coding in the software is wrong, then the output will also be wrong. I'm talking to most of you are already engineers here. So the output is wrong means, what is the meaning of wrong output? That person has everything in life. I am assuming that the people who are attending this course, they have all the basic needs met, like they have a place to live, they have good food to eat, they have good clothing with themselves, and maybe a few people to love and being loved. But in spite of having all these things, many times most of us feel some kind of emptiness, some kind of, there is something missing in life. Because people programming is not right. They think the things of this world can make me happy. Things of this world can make you happy a little bit, but actual happiness comes from within. And that real happiness is part of our own personality. The only thing is that because of the mind is like a mirror, and that mirror is dusted now. It's like having too much dust on it. So we are not able to see the real personality. So coming back to this picture, so if we want to make the passenger happy, we have to be very careful that what data we feed through our senses, so that our senses doesn't pollute the mind. And even if mind is polluted, our intelligence has to become very strong. Intelligence, and how we make intelligence is strong. Intelligence is strong by feeding it with knowledge. By feeding it with knowledge. And how we feed with the knowledge? By hearing some kind of seminar, by reading different kind of books, by observing. There is something called introspection. How many of us are doing real introspection in life? Introspection means sitting, taking out some time in the day and just sit with yourself and observe your thoughts, write down few points and see how it is going, where it is going. So this is what I wanted to share, the body connection with the mind, and how one of the first steps when we talk about emotional health is we have to be careful what kind of data entry we are doing into our system. So my dear friends, be very careful what kind of data entry is going inside. Be very careful which kind of people you are associating, which kind of people you are spending time, what kind of channels you're watching on the TV, what kind of people you are following on the social media. And all these things will decide how emotionally healthy you are. Now here is one question has come, let me take it before I go further. As a faculty, sometimes we find it difficult to handle adolescent students who are aggressive and don't like us advising them. Many of them are pampered by their parents. How to deal with them? Very nice question. Would you like to come on the screen and interact, or you just want to listen? If you want, you can open your video and come. Let me try to answer in the meantime. So she is asking that there are many students who are coming from the background. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir,
You want to put your video on?
No, sir.
Okay,
can I
tell me.
talk?
Yes, you can talk. Yeah, please.
Especially some students are too aggressive, and especially now due to online classes, we are not in direct touch. So some students make lot of problems for us, like they want us to give attendance without them attending, and even the marks also. So all these things. So especially in this era of online classes, so how to handle these students who are too aggressive, doesn't want to listen to us.
Why you want them to listen to you?
Like they don't show interest in.
So it is whose responsibility to show interest?
It's their responsibility, but we are also counselors, we will try to advise them and
yeah, as a counselor we can advise. Definitely
how
we
to
should
deal
advise.
with these type of students who are not showing interest in studies. Instead they're just ignoring, and if we try to advise them, they become like aggressive kind of thing. It is online, how to advise them through online.
So it is a mandatory, or they approach you for counseling? You know, there are some rules of counseling.
In our counsel, in the sense that in our college we will be given around 10 students under us. So we just have to monitor them, and we are not doing official counseling kind, just a friendly talk with them,
Friendly talk with
so
them.
that so that they will progress in academics.
That's a very good point you mentioned. Friendly
So
talk.
how to do that?
Listen.
We are not
Yeah.
we are
Understood.
not we are not a counselor, we are a faculty, but still how to motivate them.
Yes. So the first rule in the motivation or counseling is the person also has to be eager. If person is not eager, you can take the horse to the pond, to the lake, but you cannot make him drink. As a friendly talk, you can share your experiences, you can share your knowledge, but whether they will listen or not, that will depend how much eagerness they have. That's why the first rule of the counseling is that we are not supposed to give advice unless we are hired. But this is like a faculty thing, which like every teacher has to take care of 10 people. So you can motivate them by giving some talk, because counseling happens only when another person is eager. Like you are eager to learn now, you're attending this and you're asking the question also. But if I'm after you, Shubha ma'am, please come, I'll help you. You are doing wrong in your life. It doesn't work actually. Maybe small children we can do with this, but adults, it doesn't work. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I don't have an answer to it. The only thing I can answer is that you can motivate them through different ways. And there are 4 ways of motivating people. You can try this. There are only 4 ways you can motivate people. Out of fear, you have to create some kind of fear in their life. Like many students, they have to be told that if you don't study, this will happen, that will happen, and you have to show their future to them. You have to show that if you don't study, you won't get marks in the practical exam, whatever way it works. But that also doesn't work if person doesn't have the fear. Like you said, some children are pampered and they already have so much, they don't care. And then another motivation is desire is like somebody's mind. Somebody has to mute. A lot of background noise is coming. So the second is desire is uh, some kind of, like, say, if you study, you will become this, you will become that, you will get so much salary. This is called dangling carrot. You have to show them some carrot. Third is duty. As a student, what you're supposed to do. As a student, as a adult person, what is your duties. Future you will become, responsible for your family, whatever. You have to show them their duties at this age. And the fourth is, which is very difficult to motivate, that is like somebody has to fall in love with the subject, fall in love with the studies. So these are the only 4 ways which I know people feel motivated. Either you create some kind of fear in their life, or you create some kind of desires in their life, or they have to have, sense of duty. I'm a student, I'm the child of my parents, I need to do something for my parents, for my country. Or they should be in love with like physics or chemistry, or like engineering graphics or engineering drawing. But that's also, then you don't need motivation. So I don't know, because unless person is eager, you cannot really help the person. And person has to show some interest. That when the counseling is done, this concept is actually maybe monitoring. Counseling is done only when person comes and says, I am in trouble, ma'am, please help me. Otherwise, counseling doesn't work. What to speak of counseling within your own family? If you try to help your husband or wife or children, they're not going to listen to you, because people have their mindset, and unless person is in the mood of receiving, you cannot give. Like today is a teacher's day, and there is a shlok comes in Bhagavad Gita. It's a very clear instruction in Bhagavad Gita that who can learn. As we have to have qualification as teachers, similarly the students need to be qualified to learn. Nowadays, because people can pay and they can get admission into a college, they feel they are qualified to learn. Tad vidhi pranipatena. This is a very important verse. Today is the right day to discuss on it for a few minutes. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Ubdekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tad vidhi pranipat. Pranipat means the person has to fall at the feet of the teacher. If not falling at the feet of the teacher, at least the mood has to be that I'm in the mood of submissive listening. I'm in the mood of submissive hearing. Because knowledge cannot flow from the down to top. Knowledge comes from top to down. The person has to be mood of the receiving. Tad vidhi pranipat. Pranipat, I am here, please tell me. And nowadays students feel, oh, I cracked what to speak of, like the private college, person can admit through the what you say, sorry, money and all that. But even the students, I have dealt many students in IITs and BITS Pilani, I used to go to Goa also. There the attitude of many students is we have cracked the exam and we know better than our teachers. I'm telling you, this is a fact. You may also be knowing this. I know the attitude in the IITs and BITS and all these big colleges. Oh, I was one of those 10 lakh people and I have come here. And what my teachers know, they don't know anything. They're not even cracked the JEE and all that. So until that point, the mood is there, you can never learn. So the Vedic system is a system where if you go to a music teacher, a few years back, I started learning music. I have not gone very deep, but I started and then I continued for some time and I could not do. But I'll tell you one experience of mine. This music teacher told me, if you want to learn from me, come in the morning 5 o'clock and I'll see. So I got up at 4:30, 4 o'clock, then I got ready, reached to his place at 5 o'clock. And he made me sit. He made me sit for 15 days and he told me, okay, now tell me. So this is the thing, first he wanted to check whether I am so eager or not. Every day, 5 o'clock, he would call me. He said, just sit and listen. Just sit, wait. And this is just 15 days. But in our scriptures, when it comes to knowledge, so today is a teacher's day, the teachers would make the student wait for years sometime. And they would tell them just wash the clothes and clean the house. Nowadays, if you talk about it, they will say we are arrogant. No, it's just to prove your sincerity. So tad vidhi pranipat, pranipat means you have to show your eagerness whether you want to learn. And now they think that we are paying money, we can learn. And pariprashnena doesn't mean that the child has to be or the student has to be like blind. He can question, he can challenge the teacher. But the challenge not in the mood of testing the teacher. Challenge is the concept, not challenging the teacher. Pariprashnena and sevaya. Sevaya means service. There has to be some mood of assisting the teacher in the class, assisting the teacher in the ashram in different ways. And then the teacher feel inspired to give, even the things beyond her capacity or his capacity. She will go out of the way to help her student. So there has to be clarity between the teacher and student relationship. And the teacher and student relationship is so amazing, Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinam Adhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. The teacher and student relationship is such that the teacher and student both are praying that the knowledge which we are discussing, it nourishes both of us. It energizes both of us. It actually helps us to transform both of our life. So anyway, I got a little carried away with the topic because today's a teacher's day. I thought I will share a few things. But the idea is that, ma'am, please don't feel bad if somebody is not listening to you, somebody is not following you, because you have done your part. This is another principle in life, please remember. We cannot take responsibility of people who don't want to give the command of their life in our hand. We cannot take responsibility of people who want to destroy themselves and don't want to take our help. You getting my point? So we need to understand what is my duty. And as you are saying, how I can advise, I just share what I knew. Fear, desire, duty, and love. You can motivate 4 ways. But we can't do anything for somebody who doesn't want to learn. Like there are some people who are so adamant that they don't want to learn, and we can just feel sorry for them. We can pray for them. We can try different ways to share our knowledge, but we cannot tell them to do what they want to do. This is my little bit of. Are you happy, ma'am, or you want to share a little bit more or discuss on it? Let's go back to my topic. So see, now this is the next point which I want to share with you. This is a very important thing in life. In life, there is a reaction and respond. We have to learn to respond, not just learn to react. When somebody is programmed, like most of us are programmed in a certain way, sometimes we can also predict ourselves that if somebody will behave me like this, my response or maybe reaction, I would say, will be like this. Or you can predict about another person that if you press this button about this personality, the reaction will come in this way and that way. This is like a person is already programmed because of the thought process, belief system person has developed since childhood and even in the womb and even from previous lives, if you believe in that. And people forget that we as humans are much, much more different than other species on this planet. We humans are not just for technology and creating the big, big buildings and the bridges and the cars. That's just one aspect of our brain power or thinking power. The main power which humans have, that they have ability to choose, they have freedom to choose. There is a difference between instinct versus choice. We have that special free will that we can choose our response. We have that willpower, and that's why many humans, they can actually control their urges. And when you exercise, when you learn to use this freedom to choose, this free will, we start taking responsibility of our life in our hand. And the more we take the responsibility of our life in our hand, more we can come out of the mode of BMW. This car, BMW, blaming, mourning, and waning, I call it. It's called BMW mode. Most of the people on this planet, they're suffering, they're totally in anxiety, they are not growing in life only because they're constantly either blaming or mourning or waning. They're just finding some object to blame. Because of this happened, because of that happened. Maybe it has happened because of some other reason. Maybe this situation has come because of some person. But what is your role in this? Just focus on that. Until we learn to focus on that, we cannot grow in life. We cannot learn to deal with the mind. Because the mind will keep on complaining, keep on comparing, keep on criticizing, keep on going into the mode of blaming, mourning, and waning. So we need to learn to choose. Like we go to gym, we do some exercise. So in the beginning, there is just a little bit warm up we do. And gradually, as muscles get stronger, we start lifting more and more weights. Similarly, mental muscles also need to be trained. Mental muscles need some kind of exercises. What kind of exercises? Just, whenever mind is going to one direction, you have to bring it back to another direction. It's not that difficult. Mind need to be trained, like I shared with you, complaining. Whenever mind is going to the complaining mode, try to find something good and appreciate it. Try to be grateful for something else. If you're criticizing somebody, instead of criticizing, why not talk good qualities of different personalities, and those good qualities will become part of your personality and you will grow in life. Another thing which we need to do to deal with the mind is higher absorption. Higher absorption means uplift your mind to a different realm. Because we learn to lift our mind to a different realm, the small problems of this world, they look trivial. When you sit in the plane, and you see from the plane down the big skyscraper building in Thane and Bombay, they look like a small matchbox. What does it mean? It means that when you go high, the small trivial issues of your life and this world, they look very small. Now, how to go high? You can go high by taking drugs also, but I'm not supporting that here. Going high is just shifting your thoughts to a different realms. Just trying to connect with different kind of thought process, because emotions are based on our thoughts, my dear friends. Emotions are based on our thoughts. And it's not what happens to you that makes you upset. It's not what happens to you which makes you upset, but what makes you upset? It's your point of view which makes you upset. It's not what happens to you that makes you upset. It's your point of view which makes you upset. Are you seeing my slide? I'm just checking. because sometimes it's not
Yes, sir,
showing.
able to see.
Yeah. So it's your point of view. So what is your point of view? Point of views are like the way we think, the way we see certain thing. It's called paradigms also. Like some people have way of thinking, like somebody is a businessman. Now his way of thinking is totally different than somebody is a teacher. The businessman, typical businessman, like I'm this point of view. Where money has been given too much importance, then that person will have a point of view that in future I I'll be happy only I have a lot of money. Or in some family, somebody has been living in a lot of suppression, a lot of power is put on him. So that person will be looking power and position in life. So that's how we develop point of views. Somebody is born and brought up in a very spiritual kind of background. A spiritual kind of background means spiritual values like respect and appreciation, learning to live with whatever comes on its own accord after working hard, then that person will develop that mindset. So these point of views are the things which we need to be very careful. So emotions are based on thoughts, and that's why we need to first start working on our thoughts if we want to change our emotions. If you have happy thoughts, you will feel happy. If you have angry thoughts, you will feel angry. And if you have fearful thoughts, you will feel afraid. First of all, if you change your thoughts, you can change your feelings. By monitoring and adjusting your thinking, you can stubbornly refuse to be miserable about anything. This is very important point which I want to elaborate on. Many times our mind goes into the past. And when it goes to the past, it start thinking some negative events. And when you think over the negative events which happened in my life, I keep on thinking, oh, this person did like this to me on this particular day, and I felt so hurt. And you keep on thinking, oh, my marriage was there, and my sister, she didn't do anything, rather she shouted at me. That was not the day, she should have done that. And you keep on thinking that particular thing which has happened in the past, and you don't know what is the background of that event, what was the mindset of that personality that time, and you keep on becoming miserable. So this is called worrying loop, anxiety loop. So you have to stubbornly refuse to entertain these kind of thoughts. The moment you refuse to entertain these kind of thoughts, your emotions will change, my friends. And what you have to do, you have to just shift. You have to just take a break and tell to the mind, I'm not thinking about it, and start thinking something else. Maybe start talking to somebody whom you really love. Start talking to somebody who appreciate you. Or maybe so many ways are there, so many ways are there. But please understand, if you are getting emotionally disturbed, means you are entertaining different kind of thoughts. Another thing which is very important about dealing with emotions, many times we hide our emotions. And when we hide our emotions, we cannot be emotionally healthy. So first thing you have to do also, when you learn to be authentic, you have to be vulnerable. Vulnerable doesn't mean that you start showing your emotions to anybody and everybody. Like you go to the class and 50 students are sitting and you start crying in front of them and so I'm feeling so nervous and sad. No, that is the time you have to hide your emotion and perform your duty. But maybe after the class, you're sitting with your colleague, you're sitting with some friend, and maybe going home, and you just come out, you just burst out whatever is going on. Because authenticity is the key when it comes to emotions and feelings. If we are hiding our emotions and feelings, then we are actually just inviting many diseases eventually in our body. Lots and lots of diseases which are there in people's life, whether it is pain in different part of the body, different organ failure, even cancer. Literally, many people invite cancers because they have been suppressing the negative emotions. So my dear friends, this is my humble request to all of you. Please learn to be vulnerable. I know you're very qualified professors and doctors here, and you don't have the opportunity to just be what you are, because most of the time you are in front of the students. Find somebody with whom you can be just you, and that will help you to take out the emotions. And then you have to start identifying your emotions. I'll come to that, but before that, if anybody has anything to share or ask, we'll take a 1 or 2 minutes break again.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Myself, Shija Nair. Sir, I just have a small query. You said we should not compare ourselves with anyone. My question is, sir, is the society not responsible for this? Because result also you see in a class, there are students who are like topper, first rank holder, second rank holder, third rank. Some we say that distinction, first class, second, and then fail. So the different categories. Sir, is this not a comparison? Is the society not held, should not be held responsible for making
Yeah.
us do this comparative thing?
Society can be held responsible. I totally agree with you, Shija. But how will it help you to grow if you make them responsible? The question is, you can put any video on, no problem. We can talk. It's a very important topic you brought. So if you put society at the blame, then how will it benefit you? And how will you change the society? We are talking about growth right now. We are not discussing just intellectually. So society is responsible, but then the whole society has to be educated. Yes, Shija, what do you say?
Sir, what I want to say is it's just not one, sir, we are trained because of the society. People make us, do this comparative thing. Nobody wants to do the comparative thing, but what happens is people are forcing us to do this comparative,
People
analysis.
are forcing, but you can choose not to be forced. That's where your free will comes into picture. Na? You are saying that I have been forced and I cannot bring change in my life. Then there are many people who don't want to compare themselves and they grow. They take inspiration. There are many people, you can observe them. Those are very successful people in their life. They don't feel low. They always feel motivated. And society is doing it. Friends are doing it. Family is doing it. Parents, the child comes with the card, what you call exam, after exam, marks. What do you call it? Marks? What card it is? He
Report
come
card.
report card. Yeah, sorry, I don't even remember that. The report card. Sorry, and the parents will point out, okay, this subject you got less marks. And other 5 subjects where he got good marks, they are not pointed. So how the child will feel? Child will feel demotivated. And this useless education system which we have, although there are many educationists here, but I would openly say this on this Teachers' Day, this is a completely bogus education system where every child has to perform in all subjects. How is it possible? It's like, you're making 20 animals stand in a line and having a competition that who will climb the tree fast. And the 20 animals have different kind of animals. There is a buffalo there, there is a tiger there is a cat there is a deer there. So this is another issue. This is totally a different topic. But coming back to your point, ma'am, Shija ji, that society is responsible. Your family is also responsible. But then we cannot change the whole society. No? Let me show you one slide that will answer your question in much better way if I have in this presentation. This is a very important point, I think. Yeah. Look at it. So what you're saying is circle of concern, the red circle. You're right now in the red circle. That your concern is that society is a problem. Because of the society, I became like this. That's why I'm putting society into responsible situation. But I am saying trying to be in the circle of influence. What is circle of concern? Things that bother you but can't do anything about. They're bothering you. Society is bothering you. But can you change the whole society? Do we have control on our people? Answer me this, Shija.
No, sir.
So if you don't have control on your parents, on your family, on your society, where do you have control? Control you have in the green circle. Things you can do something about. So what you can do, don't listen to them. And if they're talking too much, you tell them, I don't want to talk about it. And if you are forced to listen, you have to learn to put them into the all control delete button, dustbin mein dalna seekhna padega. And then when you work in the circle of influence and when you grow gradually, when your circle of influence will grow, when the green circle will become bigger than the red circle, then you will be so confident, your influence will be so much that nobody will be comparing with anybody. And if somebody is comparing also, then you don't care. Because the people who care too much about their surroundings, people who care too much about other opinions and views, they can never grow in life. Now you will say, does it mean that we are not supposed to listen to anybody and take feedback of anyone? No, I'm not saying that. You care people who value you. You care people who understand you. You care people who are mature enough to give feedback, how to give the feedback. You know how to give feedback? Feedback is not given just, you're like this, you're like that. It has to be sandwiched. Sandwich means first something good you have to say about the person. And then you have to say room for improvement. And then again sandwich with another bread slice. That's something again wonderful. So you listen to people who are qualified to give motivation and inspiration, not the people who just say something, for the sake of saying. So if you feel the society is responsible, parents are responsible, don't listen to the society, don't listen to the parents also, I would say. There is no point. Parents also have to behave the way they're supposed to behave. They're not supposed to compare and say, oh, I wanted to become the doctor and I could not become, so maybe my son can become. Arey, son has to decide. You see in the son which qualities he has, what inclination son has, whether he is more inclined towards music or whether he's more inclined to the logic or he's more inclined to the graphics. There are 7 kinds of intelligence are there. You have to find out. So unless we start taking the responsibility in our hand, things are not going to change. Okay, so that's my thought. So society is responsible, but we can't change the society unless we increase the circle of influence. When your circle of influence will increase, society will get influenced by you and they will also change. Actually, this is what happens. Okay. Anybody else before I go further? Otherwise, I don't mind taking questions also because it's very interesting questions are coming up.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, generally what happens, our some feelings, we do not put exactly what we feel. We sometimes we put it sugar coated, or we want to say something. Maybe that thing will be break the relations, or it will hurt other person, or it will happen something wrong. That time we generally try to make the sugar coating and that relation we want to keep. But in long terms or in future, it very much deeply mentally weakens us. So how to handle such situations, sir?
You have answered your question yourself, but don't do it. You have to be very honest and polite. You have to learn the language of expressing your feelings. The problem with people is that they are unable to express their feelings, because they don't know the language of feelings. And this is another thing which is very important to learn. Like say, I'll show you some feelings which we're supposed to share. Like say, when you feel disturbed, what you say to the people? Asha ji.
Generally, sir, I keep quiet most of the time.
Why you keep quiet? That's what I'm asking. Why you keep quiet? And you let me guess. You keep quiet because of the fear that another person will feel bad. Am I right?
Yeah, because the consequences of all these things will be something different. It will take to other.
But I have another question. If you keep your feelings to yourself, and after say a few weeks or after a few months, when you cannot tolerate anymore, what will be the consequences at that time?
Yeah, I speak too much that time, to not to the directly person, but maybe to others, that this person is behaving this way, that way, like that way. Means I don't like to discuss the things about the third person, but I discuss with the third person, this happened, that happens, and I'm following the Brahma Kumaris. So somehow I don't like to do these things, to talk to third person. Then again I got into the regression. So why I'm speaking about the second person to the third person? But because this, I don't know, because in practical point, whatever spirituality says, sometimes it makes very difficult to follow.
Yeah, now I understand where they're coming from. So the spirituality gives concepts, man, that try to be forgiving, try to be polite, don't hurt anybody, be respectful, don't criticize anyone. As I said, na, criticizing. But you know how it has to be practiced? It doesn't has to be practiced the way we start practicing. The spirituality is not black and white. There are a lot of gray zones in the area. The idea is that if you don't learn to communicate, basically what I'm guessing, ma'am, is you have difficulty in communicating and expressing. And when you don't express and communicate, then you are forced to share that thing after some time with somebody, because somewhere the emotions has to be shared. And most of the cases, not only just because you're talking to the third party, if is not matured enough, then it will create more problem, ma'am.
Yes.
So the only solution in this case is you need to learn some communication skills. Communication skills means there is a language of feelings and emotions. You need to communicate that I am feeling so and so, and why you're feeling the need. There is a book called, which I have some slides for that also, I'll show you. But that book you have to read, I would suggest. It's
Okay.
called Non-Violent Communication by
Hmm.
Marshall Rosenberg. I'll
Hmm.
put in the chat. Non- So this book will teach you that what are the feelings are there. When we feel sad, so generally we have difficulty in even naming the emotions, you know that?
Hmm.
We cannot name the emotions, but first thing we have to learn to name the emotions. Like say some of the negative emotions are, which are from this book, which I've written down the chat box. We feel anxious, okay?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
feel confused, we feel disappointed. Like say you are living in a family, or let's say somebody is living in the family, and the husband is there, and husband has done something which we were not expecting him to do. So instead of getting angry and frustrated, you can say that my dear and dear so and so, whatever, that I am feeling disappointed. Instead of, you have to name the feeling. And why you're feeling disappointed? Because I was expecting that you will bring this particular thing, or you will take me for the evening as we discussed 2 days back, but you didn't show up. So these are the things. Or maybe you're staying in a family and you have mother-in-law and you have some sister-in-law or whatever. So you need to express your feelings. Sometimes you will be feeling helpless. Helpless
Hmm.
means like say, like my wife was cooking that day, and some guests were supposed to come, and then suddenly she realized that she is not ready, and already one item is pending. So she is coming and again poking me. Oh, how much more time they're going to take? And I don't know how much, because they are coming, maybe traffic. I have some idea they may take half an hour, 40 minutes. And she's getting panic. You're getting my point? And she's getting upset. She started crying. But instead of communicating properly, that I have to get, it's just a 3 lines she has to say. I have to get ready. And that particular dish, some needed attention. I am feeling helpless. Can you come and take care of it? The helpless word would have changed the whole scenario.
Hmm.
Because unless you use the right word, the people don't feel connected. And many times she would come and ask me that, okay, what time you have this, what time you have that. I said, what is the problem? You tell me what is your need. Yeah? People don't ask direct immediate need question. You express your need, and then another person will connect with your needs. Then only things happens. But if you keep poking, no, 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 I want to know if you have free that time, then we can think something. That is not the issue. I should understand what is going on in your mind. So these are the few examples which I'm giving you, which you have to learn. Like if you're feeling hurt, then you have to say, I'm feeling hurt, emotionally hurt. If you're feeling impatient, like say somebody is getting ready and taking too much time, then instead of shouting, you're like this, you're like that, you always do this, you can just say, I'm getting impatient. Please, I request you to just finish it in next few minutes. How much time you need? You can ask the question, how much time you need? The moment you ask the question, they will be giving some commitment. There's a no, I'll be there in soon. No, no, no. I'm asking 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Give me a commitment. And they say 5 minutes, you say, okay, you take 8 minutes, but after 8 minutes, I'm going. So these are the words: impatient, irritated. Sometimes you feel irritated by a particular kind of behavior. Then you have to express it. Sometimes you feel lonely. Lonely means like husband comes and he doesn't even talk and just goes and go into the own shell or whatever. Get up in the morning, again goes. Then you have to express that, my dear, maybe, we can spend few minutes, after you come, and maybe later after dinner, and I feel lonely. Whatever, with your children, you can do it. So these are the emotional feelings which you need to learn and express. Like sometimes we feel tired and we don't say, I'm feeling tired. You have to really verbally say it. I'm feeling tired and exhausted and I need some rest. How will another person will connect to your needs unless we do that? And then sometimes you feel nervous, sometimes you feel upset, sometimes you feel worried. So please try to learn this language of feelings and use these feelings when you're communicating. And another person, I'm assuring you, will feel connected to you and feel not bad. And listen, the second point, which is more important, if you not communicate properly, it will grow like a pressure cooker. It will bombard. And when the fight will happen or the emotional hurt will happen, that will be much more deeper. It's better that person feel bad now and understand what is going on, instead of waiting for when things to go into chaos.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
There is one question here. No one has to swallow other words and spit the words on others. Only observe what is happening to your body during this period to dissolve. Okay, it's a comment actually. No one, listen carefully, all my audience. Somebody has sent a comment, Mr. R.L. Billa. No one has to swallow others' words and spit the words on others. Only observe what is happening to your body during this period to dissolve the words, like the Vishuddhi Chakra in the gullet, like Lord Shiva. Yeah, Vishuddhi Chakra. Thank you. Vishuddhi Chakra is important because Vishuddhi Chakra is a throat chakra. And many people have this issue that their throat chakra is blocked. I can guess here also some people who are asking questions, sometimes their throat chakra is blocked. And when your throat chakra is blocked, you have difficulty in expressing. जो बातें हैं वो यहाँ आती हैं, यहाँ के रुक जाती हैं. बोलूं ना बोलूं, बोलूं ना बोलूं, बोलूं ना बोलूं. But you have a right to express. That right has been given to you. Now, how to express? That's where comes to the question. We keep on building it, holding it, and when we try to express, it just comes out like a boom. Another person will, oh, what happened? I was not expecting this. But actually, it's like that particular episode or incident was like a last straw on the camel's back. This is a saying actually. When the camel is walking in the desert, and there are a lot of load is there on the camel back, and you keep on increasing the load, and then you just put one more bottle of water and camel sit down. He said, no, I can't walk now. Too much of water, too much of load we have put on my back. And you say, oh, I just put one bottle, 1 liter water, and you're saying too much of load. Camel is saying, no, it's too much. बहुत हो गया तुम्हारा अभी, नहीं चलना, बहुत हो गया तुम्हारा, बहुत सुन लिया. And the person is puzzled. What happened? But actually, my dear friends, it was already too much of load which was not expressed. So don't come to that. Don't wait for the situation to come. Learn to express, learn to speak, learn to communicate. That is the only way we can solve these issues. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, no issue. So let me share a few more points with all of you. So we have to learn to identify negative emotions and positive emotions. So which are the negative emotions? Negative emotions are like, say, which I just mentioned in my question and answer session. And there are healthy negative emotions and unhealthy negative emotions. Healthy negative emotions and unhealthy negative emotions. So which are the healthy negative emotions and which are the unhealthy negative emotions? This is a very important point to discuss. So develop the awareness of your negative emotions. Are they healthy or unhealthy? Healthy negative emotions. Which are the healthy negative emotions? Healthy negative emotions are an appropriate response to negative events. They let you know that something is wrong and you encourage you to make positive changes in your life. Which are those? Like, say, and let's see first unhealthy negative emotions, then I'll explain. Which are the unhealthy negative emotions? Unhealthy negative emotions have no beneficial side effects. They have no, do you feel much worse than the situation really calls for? Do you feel depressed instead of sad? Afraid instead of careful? Enraged instead of annoyed? Hurt instead of disappointed? Ashamed instead of regretful? This is a very important slide, my friends. Please pay attention to it. It's good to be sad, because when things go wrong in life, it's good to be sad for some time, because it helps you to release your emotions. It's good to cry sometime, but not crying whole day, whole week, all the time. It's good to cry, take it out. If you have lost something, it's good to be sad. But if you keep on entertaining it, ruminating on it, you get into the zone of depression, because you're not ready to move on. Because life, everything is changing. Understand this. Everything is changing. So even that particular sad incident was there. Now many more things are ready to come, because life is just like a river. It just goes on, it flows on, but you don't have to hold on to particular thing. Another is afraid instead of careful. It's good to be careful. Like, say, if you're planning to go in the night somewhere, then you have to be careful not to go to some streets which are very lonely, which are not very safe. But no need to be so afraid that, oh, I cannot go out in the night. Sometimes you may have to go out in the night. Sometimes there are so many things which need to be done. So just be careful and don't go to the paths which are not safe. Oh, I can't drive because, once in my life I hit something with my car. I can't drive now anymore. It doesn't work. This is called unhealthy negative emotions. Enraged instead of annoyed. Annoyed. Being annoyed is like, it's normal, Whenever things don't go our way, whenever things are like not go the way we were expecting, like, say, you may be annoyed with yourself, you may be annoyed with somebody, but don't be enraged. Just keep shouting and shouting and shouting for hours and hours and just going out of the control. Sometimes you need to be annoyed just to express it. If you're a boss managing a college or managing a department, managing few students in the class, sometimes you have to be annoyed if they're doing some crazy things. You have to express your annoyed, you have to be expressive in that regard. But don't be so enraged that shouting and shouting and shouting and giving, abusive words and insulting them. And disappointed, but not that hurt. Like, if somebody has done something to you which was not expected, you may feel disappointment. You said, I'm not expecting this from you, and I'm disappointed. But don't take it to the heart so deeply that you just keep thinking about it. Just keep worrying about it. Keep crying about it. And for years, people keep these emotional hurts in their heart, and they just cannot move on. It's very unhealthy emotional health. Don't be unhealthy in your emotional health. And then ashamed instead of regretful. Ashamed instead of regretful. Many times we do mistake. We all are doing mistakes from our childhood, But we don't have to be ashamed about ourselves, because there is a saying called to err is human. We all are human, and being human is there will be some situation where we will not be to the expectation from others' point of view and from our own point of view. So you can be regretful. You know, what is the difference between regretful and feeling guilty and feeling ashamed? And when person feel guilty and ashamed, person cannot move on. Person cannot move on. So my request is that when learn to connect with your emotions, see whether they're unhealthy emotions or healthy emotions. Now there is one question has come which I have to answer. Sir, is there any way by which all these mind lessons can be installed to your subconscious, so that next time, whatever the situation, you always respond right? Wow. Typical engineering mindset question. Installation, fixing the things. Yeah. Yes, sir, it can be done, but the installation process is not just half an hour or 1 hour. It's lifelong. It's a constant endeavor. Continuously the installation has to be done. Continuously the practice has to be done, because you're dealing with the mind. Mind is a very subtle entity. Mind is, and subconscious is like even more subtle. So there is a technique called Yog Nidra, if you have heard about it, psychic sleep. Yog Nidra is one of the most powerful technique, my friends, by which you can install things much more easy way into your subconscious mind. Because conscious mind is, hello, conscious mind is logical. Conscious mind is skeptical. So when I'm giving this talk, conscious mind is active. So when conscious mind is active, conscious mind is based on experience, rejecting many things right now itself. And even if things goes to the conscious mind, they don't last for a long time. That's why when we hear a motivational talk, or we read a motivational book, or we hear some quote, there is an inspiration for a few minutes. It's like a painkiller, you know, you take a medicine and it works for some time, it goes. So actually the change has to be brought in subconscious mind. And the change in the subconscious mind is brought by different techniques. Like one technique I'm telling you, Yog Nidra, psychic sleep. And another is you have to repeatedly, in a very submissive mood, feed to the subconscious mind. But it's not like once you install it, once you hear the lecture, once you practice, it has to be like Bhagavad Gita says, abhyasena vairagya. And even the Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, anything which you want to change in our life, you have to do it with practice. They say any habit can be changed in 21 days. I don't know about these studies, but the idea is that you have to dirgha kalena. For long time, you have to keep on practicing. And there is a negative feedback system. You know, in physics, I think this system is a stable system. There is a difference between filters and oscillators. Let me talk little physics. Then oscillators, what happens that you feed the positive, you know, feedback, and then it oscillate. But for stability, you have to do correction. You have to take the output and you have to, you know, whatever that feedback has to be given at the negative part, the input part, after the correction, you know, after you make some system there, whatever filter. So same thing has to be done in the life. You have to be constantly working in a loop, constantly feeding yourself. Means, like say you learned something today in this class, maybe just one small point. And after the class, you make a note of it in your diary. You have noted down in your mind for sure, but you also make a note of your diary that these 2-3 things I will try to practice. Now, next time when you try to practice, first of all, you have to increase your awareness in life that when I need to practice. For that, you have to start observing your mind. When you practice, then you see how my response and behavior was and how it was different compared to before. Then you make a note of it. Then again, next time you try something else. So gradually, my friend, when you do it, gradually it will start sinking in your subconscious mind. How our subconscious mind develops? Subconscious mind develops by experiences. Like in our childhood, our subconscious mind is very absorbing because the conscious mind is not so developed. So what happens, that's why the most of the thought patterns and belief systems, they are developed in the childhood, because in the childhood subconscious mind is more active and conscious mind is more active. But when we become young adult after 20, 15, 25, 30, our conscious mind start becoming more and more active, and the things become more logical. So it require more practice to feed to your subconscious mind. You have to become like a childlike when you're learning something, not childish. Childlike means just be so enthusiastic to learn and practice. So maybe in one line, the answer is that the process is to practice the some skills again and again and again. And don't try to do too many things at one point. Maybe learn 2 3 things and practice it for like few weeks, become part of your personality, and then you do it again, then you do it again, another thing, and then it works. Your mind start thinking in a particular way, your mind start working in a particular way, the mind start responding in a particular way. It's just a practice. So thank you. So I have 5 minutes more because I have time until 4. So I would like to invite somebody to ask another question or share something, because many of you are already very much qualified and expert in the areas, teachers, professors. So just like 5 minutes, I'll keep it for this only. Anybody?
Sir, it is regarding students' psychology in current situation. I have one question.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
because now we are teaching online to students, most of the time we feel that they are not physically as well as mentally in the class. And yeah, some are there, but most of the time students are physically moving here, there, and they are just using mobile. If you ask any questions, they reply. Or so what to make them that they will attract to our teaching? Because we try our best, sir, but because of these things, sometimes we don't know how to handle this situation of how the students will get motivated.
It's really challenging. Maybe the involvement of the students have to increase than giving the talk. That's what I can guess. Because like in this workshop also, I'm trying to involve, but most of the people screen is off, and I don't know what people are doing behind the screen. So the thing is that they have to keep their screen on. How many students are there in your class, ma'am, generally?
87.
No. In your class, when you give class,
Yes, yes, 87.
it's too much, no?
But
That's
in
very,
81, sir, 40, 42 are present, and some for 1 hour, it's 40, 42 students are there. Out of that, 5 students answers.
yeah. So, ma'am, the way you were teaching offline, the same way you're teaching online, or you have changed your way of teaching in certain ways?
No, I have changed, sir.
What changes you have brought?
I have brought some experiments. I show them. I make them to simulate some engineering part. I'm basically from electrical engineering.
Hmm.
So I'm teaching automation subject. So
Hmm.
I teach them simulation or some
Hmm.
other experiments, some presentations. They
Hmm.
should do the presentation. They work in a
Hmm.
group.
So
Like
this
that
is
I
the
do, but
this is
I personally think that 4 5 students are very sincere. Others are not.
so, madam, this is the same problem which another lady has asked, I think, in the beginning. That students, when they don't show interest, what to do, you know. So I mean,
Hmm.
you're doing your best. You should be happy that I have changed the way I used to teach. I'm involving the students, because the online, the only thing which will work if you involve them. If you just give the talk, it will become, and which you're already doing it. So now you need to be happy that I am doing my best. And if they are not interested, what can be done? And this online thing has really affected their studies, I know, because people in their own world. The only thing, I mean, I don't want to take much time on it. The only thing which can help is you have to make your teaching more interesting in a way that where the involvement of the students is like, where they start finding it as a fun, whether they start finding more practical, more relevant into their life. And maybe the theory part they can do more as a homework, and the practical part more they come and they share, give more assignments to them, and that they can discuss their assignments with you in the online session. So maybe just do it in a way where they have to do a lot of things at home, but when they have difficulty, they have the opportunity to look forward to you. So this is what I can say.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else? So here is my link for, like, you have some videos on YouTube. You can watch them if you like. The channel name is Grow with Vivek, and there is email ID here. So if you like, you can just watch some videos and maybe get some more ideas about mindfulness and yoga and some other things. And now I think I have to say namaste, bye to all of you, because my organizers have given me time up to 4, and now you people have some other activities ready. And I'm really grateful that I've been given this opportunity to speak to such wonderful audience, and maybe someday in future we'll meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivek ji, for such a wonderful interactive session. You have explained all difficult concepts with the simplicity, mentioned few nature of mind, nature of emotions. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving your valuable lecture. I'm thankful to the participants for their interaction during the session. Thank you, sir. And I make one announcement for the participants that we are having 5 minutes break, and after that we will be having valedictory session. So thank you all. Thank you, Vivek ji, once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Feedback link is there in the chat box.